So if you're planning an extended trip to the United States, we have some breaking news that you will need to hear. You have to comply with a new rule. It's a change that comes from the U.S. crackdown on border security. It's been in the works since President Donald Trump signed an executive order on his first day in the White House. The border crackdown has sparked warnings to Canadians who work in the United States. And earlier this month, the federal government updated its travel advice to remind Canadian travelers to expect, quote, closer scrutiny from U.S. border officers. Linda Ward is getting us started this morning. You're looking at both sides of that storyline, but let's start with these new rules around the registry.
Yeah, so if you're planning any long-term travel to the United States, there's a lot of things to think about right now, but this is something that you're going to want to put right at the very top of that checklist. It's very important information. If you're going for 30 days or longer, you must register with the U.S. government. We're going to take a live look at the bridge in Port Huron in Sarnia, Ontario. Lots of Canadians crossing over that bridge into the United States are going to want to pay close attention to this. This new rule applies to Canadian citizens and permanent residents 14 years of age and older. If you enter by air, this is important, most likely you were automatically registered. If you have a work or student visa as well, you're most likely covered. If you enter by land border like this, you are most likely not registered. And you're going to need to carry a form that looks like one of these, the Form I-94. This is an arrival or departure record. When you entered the United States, you need to get one of these. You won't be given any evidence that you have one or do not have one. You need to check. You need to go to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection's website. If no I-94 appears, then you do need to register online. Now, you don't need to give any fingerprints. Specifically, that is for Canadians only. A fingerprint requirement has been waived for Canadians. Penalties for failing to do this, up to $5,000, up to 6 months in jail, or potentially both. This new requirement has some Canadians, including some snowbirds, a little apprehensive about maybe going back down to the United States. And I was listening to your interview with Janie Patterson just a short while ago, who just returned from her winter in Florida.
I'm contemplating going next year. I'm undecided. I understand that if you fly, the registration is automatic, although you do need to download the paperwork and have it with you at all times, apparently, for what? I don't know who's going to stop me. I have no idea.
Right.
So I think if I go next year, I don't think I'm going to drive. I think I've made the decision that I will probably fly to avoid just the whole mess, crossing the border, possibly being detained.
And Janie was kind of painting this picture about the confusion, the mess, as she just described it there. But part of her frustration was also around a burner phone and just the nerves of going down to the United States and some of the things that Canadian travelers are now being urged to think about from the Canadian government.
Yeah, Global Affairs Canada is warning Canadians need to expect more scrutiny if they're going down there. So Janie's fears not necessarily unwarranted. Now, they haven't raised the travel risk level. It's still listed as low. Take normal security precautions. But this warning was added to the website earlier this week. U.S. authorities strictly enforce entry requirements. Expect scrutiny, as I say. There are ports of entry, including electronic devices. Comply and be forthcoming in all interactions with border authorities. If you're denied entry, you could be detained while awaiting deportation. It's not just Canada that's issued warnings like this. We've seen similar from Germany, from the UK recently. U.S. Border Patrol officers have an awful lot of power. Once you're at that border, they can pretty much search anything that they want, your phone, your social media, your laptop, your property. They can seize that. Once you pass that border, then they need a warrant. But at the border, they don't. Now, they're supposed to be checking to see what's the likelihood that you might be committing a crime while on U.S. soil. But with everything that's been going on between Canada and the United States, the fear is that they may be looking a little bit closer. You can refuse the search, but then they may not let you into the country. Your phone could be seized. You could be potentially, as Janie was concerned about there, detained for several hours. And this travel agent that we spoke with from CBC News works with the Iranian community here. And she says this whole climate has her clients sworn off travel to the United States.
In some cases, they have been asked to show their social media account. they feel unwelcome. They feel that being singled out just because the place of birth or because their name, not because what they have done. There is no clear reason that why someone has to be going through this screening.
Not just overcautious. We have heard stories, we have covered stories, foreign nationals, including a Canadian, detained, being turned away at the border despite having all of these documents
for more than a week,
in
right?
place. So really important for Canadians right now. If you're heading down south, make sure that you do have those documents in place and make sure you consider all the possibilities.
Especially with the summer travel season right around the corner. Important storyline to be talking about this morning. Linda, thank you so much.
You're welcome.